River State Police Command said its operatives have arrested two notorious cultists linked with the recent gang war and killings in the Diob axis of Port Harcourt, River State. Recall that about 5 persons, including a commercial cab driver who was hit by a stray bullet, lost their lives during the clashes between rival cults in the area. The police said the deployment of special unit operatives yielded results with the arrest of a suspect identified as Diseye Okulu with the assistance of a local vigilante group. The State Police Command spokesman, Grace Irene Coco, disclosed this in a statement issued in Port Harcourt on Wednesday and sent to the newsmen. Irene Coco, or Superintendent of Police, further said the confession made by the arrested suspect Okulu led the police to another suspect where some sophisticated weapons were recovered. The statement listed some of the items recovered, including one Scorpion VZ61 submachine gun, one fabricated English-made Beretta pistol, 20 rounds of 5.56mm live ammunition, 2 rounds of 9mm live ammunition, and one pair of screwdrivers, sunglasses. The police image maker said all the exhibits were concealed in a black bag by the suspect. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner of Police, Olugbenga Adepoju, has restarted the command's unwavering commitment to bringing all perpetrators of crime in the state to justice. CP Adepoju, however, urged residents and members of the public to provide useful and timely information to the police to enable them to apprehend more criminals. No fewer than 20 persons have been arrested by operatives of the Special Security Squad, codenamed Operation Flush Out kidnappers and cultists in Edo State. 18 reports that the team was set up by the state governor, Monday Okpebolo. The suspects were arrested when the team raided Isioho Igosa, Oluku Ibiwe Lagos Street, and other notorious hideouts for criminals. Many of the suspects were reported to have been arrested with drugs, dangerous weapons, and other incriminating materials. Speaking after the operation, John Adewale Esei Kaigbe, a member of the Edo State Special Security Squad against cultism and kidnapping, commended the state governor for setting up the team. Esei Kaigbe opined that the squad would go a long way in reducing the criminal elements perpetrating evils in the state. He said the governor has given the marching order to ensure that armed robbery, kidnapping, cultism, and other social vices that are bringing disrepute to the state become a thing of the past. The Edo State Special Security Squad against cultism and kidnapping is made up of the military, police, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other sister security agencies. Other members of the squad are hunters, vigilante groups, repentant cultists, and other critical stakeholders in Edo State. Imo State Police Command has banned the use of unmarked minibuses and commercial tricycles for patrol operations across the state. The directive issued by the Commissioner of Police, Aboki Danjuma, on Tuesday night follows public outcry over the use of such vehicles by police tactical teams to allegedly harass, extort, and intimidate residents. The police also described the action as grossly unprofessional, warned that any operative caught for flaunting the order would be dealt with. Meanwhile, the Imo Police Command has reiterated its commitment to upholding professionalism, accountability, and ethical policing standards in line with the vision of the Inspector General of Police. Enugu State Police Command has dismantled a local firearms fabrication workshop in Udi local government area as part of ongoing efforts to curb crime and the spread of illegal weapons, according to the Police Public Relations Officer, SP Daniel Ndukwe. The operation was carried out by the command's anti-cultism tactical squad on June 30, 2025 in Amofia, Agu Afa. Following credible intelligence, it led to the recovery of various weapons, including a locally made cut-to-size single-barrel gun, 2 English-made double-barrel guns, 8 single-barrel guns, 2 live and 8 expended cartridges, as well as firearms repair tools, generator sets, and other exhibits. The operation followed the arrest and confession of a 32-year-old member of the Supreme Vikings Confraternity, Ekene Okafo, who was earlier apprehended for conspiracy, armed robbery, and unlawful possession of firearms. His confession led the led police to the location of the workshop, the command has launched a manhunt for the fleeing owner of the facility. Commissioner of Police CP Maman Beatrice Giwa praised the team for their success and reaffirmed the command's resolve to tackle the illegal proliferation of firearms. He also urged residents to stay alert, obey the law, and share credible information with law enforcement agencies. Governor Francis Wifuru of Ebonyi State has swapped 3 members of his cabinet in a minor reshuffling. In the redeployment, the State Commissioner for Information and State Orientation, Jude Opo, was redeployed to the Ministry of Rural Development, while Chief Ikeowa Omebe, who was in charge of the ministry, was redeployed to the Information Ministry. The Commissioner for Primary and Secondary Education, Paul Nwobashi, was redeployed to the Ministry of Border, Peace and Conflict Resolution, while the Commissioner in the ministry, Dr. Donatus Lang, was redeployed to the Primary and Secondary Education Ministry. The new Commissioner for Information and State Orientation, Ikeowa Omebe, who announced the development on Tuesday, Wifuru gave the State Commissioner for Environment, Victor Chukwu, and his tertiary education counterpart, Professor Amari Omaka, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, 6 months to sit up or face some punitive measures. Omebe further said that the EXCO approved the 2026 to 2028 medium-term expenditure framework work. According to him, the EXCO approved the supply and installation of independent captive power generation plants to give 24-hour metered electric power to specific public and private industries/institutions in the state. Oyo State Police Command has arrested 2 suspected members of a one-chance robbery gang that has been targeting unsuspecting residents in Ibadan. This development followed the release of a viral video that revealed the gang's criminal activities across the city. According to a statement by the command's police public relations officer, CSP Adewale Osi Feso, the arrests were made following actionable intelligence and a directive from the Commissioner of Police to the command's tactical units to track down the suspects. Acting swiftly, the operatives acted their informant networks and began a focused search for the culprits. On July 12, 2025, around 3:30 p.m., officers from the Command Monitoring Unit located and arrested the suspects on the Old Ibadan-Oyo Road. A Nissan Almera believed to have been used in the gang's operations was recovered during the arrest. The suspects reportedly confessed to being active members of the gang, admitting to deceiving and robbing multiple victims using the recovered vehicle. 3 victims have so far identified them as the individuals responsible for robbing them on separate occasions. The suspects remain in police custody as investigations continue to uncover other gang members and recover any weapons involved. The police have also called on additional victims to come forward to aid in the investigation and ensure a thorough prosecution. The Oyo State Police Command reaffirmed its commitment to protecting the lives and property of residents throughout the state. Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly and Chairman of the Nigeria Conference of Speakers, Adebo Ogundoyi, called for a new and more inclusive approach to governance. Ogundoyi, who attributed political establishment for the multifaceted challenges that have continued to bedevil the nation, disclosed this while featuring on a live broadcast in Ibadan, the state capital. He said Nigeria's challenges are not accidental. They are largely the result of political interest overriding national interest. The speaker lamented the loss of over 700,000 lives due to violent conflict and criminality as a national tragedy and called on the federal government to take urgent action. He queried the government's failure to publish the names of those allegedly sponsoring insecurity, suggesting political interest as shielding perpetrators. On the controversial 6-year single term proposal floated by Governor Seyi Makinde, Ogundoyi expressed full support. Speaking on local government's autonomy, Ogundoyi stressed that the Oyo Assembly voted in favor during the last constitutional amendment. He therefore called attention to the economic hardship triggered by fuel subsidy removal, lamenting its adverse effect on businesses and livelihoods. Operatives of the Lagos State Police Command have uncovered a multi-million naira visa scam and arrested 4 suspects alleged to be behind the fraudulent operation that defrauded over 100 people of more than 500 million. The suspects identified as Blessing Wefsutu, 27, Chinenye Christian, 36, Achibong Udeme Ifreke, 23, and Maureen Peter, 25, were all staff members of an educational consultancy firm based in the Ago-Okota area of Lagos. The case was initially reported at the Ago-Okota Police Division before being transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department in Yaba for a more in-depth probe. Preliminary investigations revealed that the consultancy firm, under the guise of facilitating Canadian and Australian work visas, allegedly collected large sums of money from unsuspecting victims. The suspects reportedly promised guaranteed employment opportunities abroad but failed to deliver on their commitments, leading to suspicions and eventual police involvement. Spokesperson for the command, Benjamin Hodei, in a statement via X platform on Wednesday, confirmed the arrest and disclosed that the scam involved more than 100 victims and a total sum of approximately 500 million naira. The Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, CPO Lohundari Jimoh, urged residents to be cautious and verify the authenticity of travel and recruitment agencies before engaging in any visa-related transactions. He reaffirmed the command's commitment to safeguarding the public from fraudulent schemes and ensuring that perpetrators face the full weight of the law. Benue State Police Command has confirmed that 3 suspected rebels were lynched by youths in Mab-Ya community near Hemba, Kwande local government area. Zagazola Makama reports that the incident, which occurred on July 15 at about 11 a.m., involved the suspects Zwanem Tenzungwe Lodepogwa and Audongu Tena, who were reportedly arrested by the youths and taken to the community council hall where they were beaten to death. Security forces were deployed to the scene upon receiving information about the incident, but the youths responsible for the mob action had fled before their arrival. The corpses of the deceased suspects have been evacuated and deposited at the Kwande General Hospital mortuary. The police condemned the act of jungle justice, stressing that no one has the right to take the law into their own hands, regardless of the allegations against any individual. Efforts are ongoing to identify and apprehend those behind the mob action. Kano State Commissioner of Education, Dr. Ali Makode, has ordered a thorough investigation into the mysterious deaths of 2 students at the government boarding secondary school, Bichi. The deceased students, Hamza Tofawa and Omar Dungurawa, were allegedly attacked by colleagues using local metal objects known as gwale. This is contained in a statement by the ministry's director, Balarabe Kiru, a copy of which was made available to newsmen on Wednesday. According to the statement, the commissioner, who spoke through the permanent secretary of the ministry, Bashar Mohammed, assured all the state governments would conduct a fair and transparent investigation, promising that justice would be served for all parties involved. The permanent secretary, who had already visited the school, cautioned students to be vigilant and avoid taking the law into their own hands. He also sympathized with the deceased families and other relatives, adding that on behalf of the Kano State Government, Ministry of Education and good people of Kano State, we extend our condolences to the family of the deceased and pray for Almighty Allah to grant their souls Jannatul Firdaus. In his remarks, the director of the secondary school, Kano State Senior Secondary School Management Board, Abbas Abdullahi, expressed deep sorrow over the incident, emphasizing that students must not misuse their privileges and take the law into their own hands. Gombe State Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps says no fewer than 72 deaths were recorded in 171 road crashes involving 1,156 people in the states between January and June 2025. The Gombe sector commander stated this on Wednesday in an interview with the newsmen in Gombe. Kaura said that 641 persons sustained varying degrees of injuries, while 443 went home unhurt. According to him, 6.23% of the passengers involved in the crashes in the period under review died, 55.45% sustained injuries, and 38.32% went home without injuries. He said that 234 vehicles were involved in the crashes, comprising 105 bicycles and tricycles, representing 44.87% of the total vehicles involved. Breaking down the statistics, Kaura said 18 passengers were killed in January, 12 in February, 5 in March, 16 in April, 5 in May, while 16 died in June. He attributed the suspected causes of the crashes to overspeeding, dangerous driving, route violation, and overloading, among others. He berated the attitude of some drivers in the state for not obeying traffic rules and maintaining the recommended speed limit. The sector commander advised motorists to always check their vehicles before putting them on the roads. Amid growing concerns and protests from party stakeholders over alleged early endorsements ahead of the 2027 elections, the Nasarawa State Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Honorable Adamu Bako Ninga, has refuted claims of bias or clandestine support for any gubernatorial aspirant. He described the allegations as baseless and lacking in truth. Speaking at the Stakeholders Forum in Lafia, the state capital, Ninga clarified that while meetings have taken place, the party leadership has not officially endorsed any candidate. His response follows protests led by the concerned stakeholders of the PDP Forum, Nasarawa South, chaired by Malam Jibrin Idris Ibrahim. The group alleged that a July 10 meeting at the residence of PDP North Central Zonal Secretary, Mr. Francis Orogu, was used to secretly back a particular aspirant, an action they say violates party rules. Addressing the matter, Ninga confirmed that the meeting was indeed held at Mr. Orogu's residence, but he insisted it was a private gathering of stakeholders from Nasarawa South, not an official PDP event. He emphasized that the PDP in Nasarawa State has not endorsed any aspirant. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Please stay with us.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has approached the Court of Appeal challenging the ruling of the Federal High Court Abuja, which directed the recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to the Senate following her suspension. In a notice of appeal, the Senate President is seeking to overturn the July 4 judgment delivered by Justice Binta Nyako. Akpabio's legal team is contesting the High Court's jurisdiction, insisting the matter concerns the internal affairs of the National Assembly and falls outside judicial purview as provided under Section 251 of the 1999 Constitution. In the 11th appeal, the Senate President faulted the lower court for dismissing his preliminary objection and for issuing orders affecting parliamentary procedures protected by law. He argued that issues related to suspension, words spoken during plenary, and Senate resolutions are safeguarded under the Legislative House Powers and Privilege Act and cannot be subjected to judicial interference. The Senate President further claimed that the suit was premature and did not exhaust the internal dispute resolutions channels of the Senate, particularly the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, as prescribed in the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended. He also faulted the trial courts for allegedly breaching his right to a fair hearing by raising issues not argued by any of the parties, including the question of whether Akpoti Uduaghan's suspension was excessive. He added that the judge erred by making recommendations for her recall without giving both sides an opportunity to address the issue. He further accused the Federal High Court of procedural irregularities by merging interlocutory reliefs sought by Akpoti Uduaghan with her substantive claims, despite their duplication. He also argued that her suit should have been struck out for failing to comply with Section 21 of the Legislative House Act, which requires a 3-month notice to be served on the clerk of the National Assembly before initiating legal action. Among other reliefs, Akpabio is urging two appellate courts to allow the appeal and set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, strike out the duplicated reliefs contained in Akpoti Uduaghan's multiple applications, dismiss his suits for lack of jurisdiction, and reject what he termed the trial court's advisory opinions to the Senate, especially those relating to amending its rules or recalling a suspended member. The President of the Senate is also asking the courts to invoke Section 15 of the Court of Appeal Act to resolve his preliminary objection and dismiss the entire case. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has stated that Nigeria's challenges stems more from the individuals managing the Constitution than from the Constitution itself. In a letter to the chairman of the National Summit, Chief Emeka Anyaoku, Obasanjo emphasized that the focus should be on ensuring good governance and prioritizing the welfare of citizens, rather than simply drafting a new constitution. The letter, which was read at the ongoing National Summit on the future of Nigeria's constitutional democracy in Abuja, reflected Obasanjo's belief that even the most well-crafted constitution can be undermined by those responsible for implementing it. He acknowledged that certain aspects of the Nigerian constitution require amendments, but insisted that meaningful change would only occur when those in positions of power act with integrity and a genuine commitment to public service. According to Obasanjo, unless there is a change in the conduct of those operating the constitution, particularly over the past decade and a half, the country will continue to suffer from corruption, impunity, and neglect of moral and constitutional values. He concluded that achieving a constitution that reflects the nation's true aspirations depends on having the right leaders in place who are capable of delivering reforms that will make all Nigerians feel included and valued in the national project. Federal government on Wednesday forecast potential flooding in 38 locations across 11 states. It warned that heavy rainfall Wednesday, July 16 to Sunday, July 28, 2025, could trigger flooding in the 11 states. The alert obtained by newsmen was issued by the Federal Ministry of Environment through the National Flood Early Warning Center under the Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Department. The alert was signed by the director of the department, Usman Bokani. States expected to be affected by the prediction, according to the prediction, include Adamawa, Mubi, Akwa, Ibom, Edo, Okwenekang, Oron, Eket, Borno, Ngala, Meduguri, Bauchi, Azare, Bauchi, Itas, Jamare, Kafin Madaki, Jema'a, Kari Misauj, and Plateau Just, Bukuru Mango. Others of Yobe, Jakusko Machina, Dapchi Kasina, Daura Kanu, Kunchi Kanu, Gezawa Wudil, Bebeji Somalia, Tuji Wadak, and Jigawa Miga Guaram, Diginsa Ringim Duse. Also listed are Cross River, Calabar, Akbar, and Zamfara. Earlier, the federal government initiated the establishment of the National Flood Insurance Policy as a proactive measure to address Nigeria's growing vulnerability to flood disasters. Former Vice President of Nigeria and the 2023 presidential flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has officially announced his resignation from the party. His departure was conveyed through a letter dated Monday, July 14, 2025, and addressed to the PDP chairman of Jada 1 ward in Jada local government area of Adamawa State. The letter was made public on Wednesday via a post by his media aide on the social media platform X. Atiku's decision comes amid rising talks of a new political alliance, the Alliance Democratic Congress, which he is reportedly helping to reform ahead of the 2027 general elections. In his letter, Atiku expressed appreciation for the roles he played within the PDP, particularly his tenure as vice president and his emergence as a presidential candidate on 2 occasions. However, he noted that the party has taken a direction that no longer reflects its original vision. He thanks the PDP leadership and supporters for their contributions to his political journey and wished them success in their future endeavors. Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, under the leadership of the Commandant General Professor Ahmed Abubakar Audi, has decentralized mining enforcement operations and normally deployed specially trained mining marshals across 7 operational zones in the country. CSC Babawali Afolabi, National Public Relations Officer, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Headquarters, Abuja, in a statement said the aim was to further strengthen enforcement activities within the solid minerals sector and enhance operational presence nationwide. Speaking during the commissioning ceremony held at the NSCDC, National Headquarters in Abuja, the Commandant General described the decentralization as a bold operational reform aimed at bringing enforcement closer to identified mining hotspots and empowering regional response teams for greater effectiveness. He further noted that the initiative aligns with the federal government's economic diversification agenda and supports the Corps' statutory mandate to safeguard critical national assets and structure. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar has disclosed that the Nigerian Air Force is set to significantly expand its aerial fleet with the acquisition of 49 state-of-the-art aircraft by the end of 2026. He disclosed this on Wednesday while speaking at the opening of the 2025 Aircraft Engineering Conference held at the NAF headquarters in Abuja. The conference is themed Enhancing Aircraft Serviceability in the NAF through strong maintenance culture and strategic partnerships. According to Air Marshal Abubakar, the expected additions include 3 CASA-295 Transport Aircraft 10, 109 Tracker Type B helicopters, 12 AH-1Z attack helicopters, and 24 M346 firefighter aircrafts, all of which are high-tech platforms requiring advanced and sophisticated maintenance procedures. This upcoming acquisition on the back of the delivery of 15 brand new aircrafts in the last 2 years, including 6 T-129 attack helicopters, 2 AW-109 Tracker Type A helicopters, 3 Beechcraft King Air aircraft and 4 Diamond 62 reconnaissance planes, he noted that the ongoing fleet expansion underscores the need to strengthen engineering capacity and improve maintenance culture to match the demands of a modern air force. Air Marshal Abubakar further revealed that significant investments have been made in logistics, spare parts, and ground support tools to maintain and upgrade existing aircraft and ensure all operable platforms are fully serviceable by the fourth quarter of 2025. Independent National Electoral Commission has organized a 2-day refresher training workshop on using its candidates. Nomination portal ICNP for political party officials is the training which was held Wednesday was aimed at enhancing the capacity of political parties and minimizing procedural errors in candidate nominations. Held at the INEC headquarters in Abuja, the training brought together key representatives from registered political parties, some of whom had previously been trained ahead of the 2023 general election. The workshop aims to consolidate achievements from previous cycles and ensure a more efficient, transparent, and technologically seamless nomination process in preparation for upcoming by-elections and the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections. In her welcome address, Mrs. May Agbamoche Umbu, National Commissioner and Chairperson of the Legal Services, Clearance and Complaints Committee, LSC and CC, emphasized the importance of accurate and timely nominations in the electoral process. She acknowledged that despite progress with the ICNP in reducing paperwork and improving compliance, political parties still face challenges such as incomplete form submissions, improper documents, attachments, and frequent turnover of personnel managing the nomination progress. Samuel O'Malley, Assistant Director in the Legal Drafting and Clearance Department, outlined the purpose and strategic focus of the fresher training. According to him, the workshop was designed not just as a routine exercise, but as a timely intervention to deepen the capacity of political party officials ahead of upcoming FCT and by-elections. Nigeria Immigration Service will inaugurate a new digital platform for the application of the Combined Expatriate Residence Permit and Alliance Card on August 1. This was contained in a statement issued by the Service Public Relations Officer, Assistant Comptroller of Immigration, Mr. Akinsolo Akinlabi, on Wednesday in Abuja. Akinlabi said that the development was in line with the federal government's ongoing efforts to reform the NIS and enhance the efficiency, transparency, and accessibility of its services. He said that the new portal, accessible at its official website, was designed to enable applicants to submit their SERA PAC applications online without the need for physical forms. According to him, effective from August 1, the use of physical SERA PAC forms will be discontinued. The NIS spokesperson noted that the digital transition was aimed at improving the user experience and ensuring a seamless application process for both individuals, all cooperating organizations, taking immigration responsibility for expatriates. Akinlabi advised applicants who have paid but are yet to submit their SER PAC forms to do so on or before July 31 to avoid loss of application status and associated payments. He, however, reaffirmed the service commitment to delivering more efficient and technology-driven immigration services in line with global best practices. Nigeria's immediate past Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has pushed back against public criticism of Buhari's anti-corruption legacy. Speaking in an interview, Malawi revealed that the late president did not let corruption to thrive during his tenure. According to Malami, during the period of President Muhammadu Buhari, corruption was not thriving at all. Malami said firmly, the former AGF said Nigeria recovered over $2 billion in looted funds during Buhari's time in office. He noted that the Buhari administration also ushered in structural reforms like the Treasury single account and the bank verification number to address financial leakages internationally. Buhari's administration received accolades from institutions such as the African Union, which named him the continent's anti-corruption champion, and the United Nations Office, on Drugs and Crime, Malami revealed. The former president, who passed on, is being described as one of Nigeria's anti-corruption leaders. Federal High Court in Lagos State has discharged and acquitted former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose of all charges in the long-running 2.2 billion naira money laundering case filed against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. In a ruling delivered on Wednesday morning, the court upheld Fayose's no-case submission, declaring that the EFCC had failed to establish a prima facie case warranting him to enter a defense. Fayose had faced trial for several years over allegations of money laundering and financial misappropriation during his time as governor of Ekiti State. However, the court found the prosecution's case to be lacking in credible evidence. Earlier in the proceedings, the court had also granted Fayose leave to travel abroad for medical treatment following a separate application. Reacting to the verdict, the EFCC, in a statement on Wednesday by its head of media and publicity, Dele Oyewale, said it is currently studying the judgment and has begun the process of filing an appeal. Fayose, who served as governor between 2023 and 2007, between 2003 and 2007, and again from 2014 to 2018, has consistently maintained his innocence since the charges were brought against him. Archdiocese of Kaduna has announced the death of Right Reverend Emmanuel Kure, a senior Catholic priest and respected clergyman in the state. According to an official statement issued by the Office of the Chancellor and signed by Reverend Father Christian Okuyem, Emmanuel Kure died at exactly 4:38 a.m. on Wednesday, July 16, 2025, at Multi Clinics, Kaduna, after a brief illness. The announcement, addressed to priests, religious, and laity in the Archdiocese of Kaduna, expressed condolences on behalf of the Church. The Archdiocese also indicated that further details regarding funeral arrangements will be communicated in due course. Kure was a senior priest of the Catholic Archdiocese of Kaduna, widely respected for his decades of pastoral service and contributions to interfaith peace building in northern Nigeria. He was known for his deep spirituality, simplicity, and pastoral zeal. He was instrumental in supporting religious harmony and had served in various capacities, including parish priest, seminary formator, and pastoral administrator. And now to our business news. Nigeria's crude oil production rose slightly above 1.5 million barrels per day in June, reaching the required quota set by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. According to OPEC's latest monthly oil market report for June, the country's oil production climbed to 1,505,000 barrels per day in June 2025, up from 1,453,000 barrels per day, 1.553 MB/d recorded in May 2025. Despite this improvement, the output still fell short of the projected 2,060,000 barrels per day, outlined in the 2025 budget OPEC's data indicates that this marks the first time in a year that Nigeria's production has met the 1.5 million barrels per day OPEC quota. Nigeria's oil input has previously hovered at 1.1 million barrels per day in 2023, 1.3 million barrels per day in 2024, and then around 1.4 million barrels per day since January 2025. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Bayo Ojulari, recently stated that Nigeria is increasing production with a medium-term goal of reaching 2,060,000 barrels per day by 2027. He expressed optimism that output would rise to 1.9 million barrels per day by December this year. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited has reduced its premium motor spirit price. Newsmen who visited NNPCL retail outlets in Abuja on Tuesday observed that the state-owned firm has slashed its petrol pump price to 895 naira per litre from 910 naira per litre. This adjustment was evident at NNPCL filling stations along Kubwa Expressway, Wuse Zone 4 and Wuse Zone 6, and other locations in Abuja where the fuel. Pump prices were visibly updated to reflect the new rate. The reduction represents a 15 naira downward review in petrol prices at NNPCL retail outlets. NNPCL is not the only firm implementing price cuts, Dangote Refinery's retail partner, MRS filling station in Abuja, also reduced their petrol price by 25 naira to 885 naira per litre from 910 naira per litre. Similarly, other filling stations in Abuja, such as Ranol and Empire Energy, lowered their pump prices to 910 naira and 915 naira per litre, respectively, down from the 920 naira and 935 naira. Recall that Dangote Refinery has already reduced its ex-depot petrol price twice so far this July. You're still watching the News on Atlantic Television Network, and up next is International Tidbits. South African government has been placed on high alert following intelligence reports suggesting a potential military coup plot. Minister in the presidency, Kumbodzo Nshaveni, disclosed this while presenting her department's budget vote in parliament. Nshaveni said the country's security cluster is monitoring the situation and has implemented preventive measures. She assured lawmakers and the public that the situation is under control and that the country's security is not under immediate threat, despite the prevailing political tensions. Nshaveni said steps have been taken to mitigate the risk and the government remains committed to safeguarding national stability and democratic institutions. The announcement comes amid ongoing investigations and heightened political uncertainty. Citizens have been urged to remain calm and report any suspicious activity to the authorities. The government said it will continue to monitor the situation closely and provide updates as necessary. Israel said it bombed Syrian army headquarters in Damascus on Wednesday after warning the Islamist-led government to leave the Druze minority alone in its Sweda heartland, where a monitor says sectarian clashes have killed nearly 250 people. Syrian government forces entered the majority Druze city of Sweda on Tuesday with the stated aim of overseeing a ceasefire agreed with Druze community leaders after clashes with local Bedouin tribes left more than 100 people dead. However, witnesses reported that the government forces joined with the Bedouin in attacking Druze fighters and civilians in a bloody rampage through the city. The fighting marks the most serious outbreak of violence in Syria since government forces battled Druze fighters in Swida province and near Damascus in April and May, leaving more than 100 people dead. The Islamist-led authorities have had strained relations with Syria's patchwork of religious and ethical minorities since they toppled longtime leader Bashar al-Assad in December. Russia fired hundreds of drones, artillery and a ballistic missile at Ukraine between late Tuesday and early Wednesday. Ukraine said defying calls by Donald Trump to reach a peace deal, the attacks left one woman dead and wounded more than 24 people across multiple regions, while a missile attack cut power and water in Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's home city of Kyiv Rig, according to authorities. The bombardment came 2 days after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to impose severe sanctions against the country unless it reached a peace settlement within 50 days to end its 3-year war on Ukraine. Ukrainian and Russian officials last met for direct peace talks more than a month ago, and no further meetings have been scheduled despite the Kremlin saying it is open for more talks. Russia fired at least 400 drones at Ukraine between late Tuesday and early Wednesday, as well as an Iskander ballistic missile launched from the annexed Crimean Peninsula, the Ukrainian Air Force said. Overnight drone attacks on the central Ukrainian city of Vinnytsia left 8 wounded, while 3 were wounded in an attack on the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, local authorities said. Russian attacks on the city of Kyiv Rig wounded at least 15 people, destroyed an industrial building and disrupted power and water supplies, according to local officials. Here now is ACN Sports News. Taiwo Awoniyi has returned to full training at Nottingham Forest after recovering from injury. The Nigeria international missed the tricky Trees last two league games of the 2024/25 season due to an abdominal injury. Awoniyi underwent surgery twice as a result of the injury. The 27-year-old was in attendance during Forest's last game of the campaign against Chelsea at the City ground after leaving hospital. The striker is expected to be eased back into action gradually by head coach Nuno Espirito Santo. He scored once in 26 league appearances for the Reds last season. Manchester United has started formal negotiations with Aston Villa to sign their goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez. According to Diego Monroig, talks are in the early stages and the Martinez's entourage is open to the move. Martinez has been linked with a move to Man United as Andre Onana is currently injured. Man United are keen to strengthen their manager Ruben Amorim's squad this summer after a poor campaign in the Premier League last season. Meanwhile, in a related development, Juventus has reached an agreement with Manchester United winger Jadon Sancho's camp, according to Alfredo Pedule. The Serie A giants are now working on getting Man United to agree to a fee for the England international. The report added that Juventus has offered 15 million euros for Sancho, as the Red Devils is currently working on a decision regarding the former Borussia Dortmund star. Zambia midfielder Rachel Nachule has said the team is battle ready for the clash with the Super Falcons of Nigeria. The Copper Queens will face the Super Falcons in a quarter-final fixture at the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations on Friday. Zambia defeated Nigeria 1-0 the last time both countries met in the third-place fixture 3 years ago in Morocco. They have been impressive at the WAFCON 2024 finals with 2 wins and a draw from their group stage matches. Ahead of the clash with 9-time champions Nigeria, Nachula declared that the Zambians are not scared of any team. Germany's Florian Wellbrock won the men's open water 10 km at the World Aquatic Championships in Singapore on Wednesday after the race had been postponed for several hours because of poor water quality. Wellbrock, the gold medalist at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, won his third open water world title in a time of 1 hour 59 minutes 55.50 seconds at the Sentosa Island course when the race eventually began at 1 p.m. A governing body World Aquatics delayed the race because water quality was exceeding acceptable thresholds. The women's 10-kilometer race had already been postponed on Tuesday and moved to Wednesday when it did finally get underway at 4 p.m. Moesha Johnson added World Championship gold to the silver medal she won at the Paris Olympics last year. The Australian came home first in 2 hours 7 minutes 51.30 seconds, finishing ahead again of Paris Olympics bronze medalist Ginevra Taddeusi of Italy. World Aquatics said early Wednesday morning that the new afternoon time slots for the races were subject to acceptable test results, but soon after they confirmed both races would proceed in the afternoon as further analysis had found significant improvement in bacterial content and water temperature. And now to our entertainment news. Acclaimed American musician and actor David Kaff has been confirmed dead. Kaff, who is recognized for playing keyboardist Viv Savage in the 1984 mockumentary This is Spinal Tap, died on Monday at the age of 79. Announcing his death in a Facebook post, his bandmates from Mutual of Alameda's Wild Kingdom disclosed that Kaff died in his sleep. ATM reports that after gaining prominence in the 1984 mockumentary, the deceased continued to perform as part of Spinal Tap at events, including a guest appearance on Saturday Night Live, before parting ways to join other bands. Renowned actress, Nollywood actress and producer Mary Remi Njoku has raised concerns over the competence of medications in Nigeria following a recent experience with food poisoning on a film set. In a post shared on Instagram, the actress raised an alarm about potential fake drugs circulating in the country. Njoku recounted how she purchased Imodium, a medication that's used to treat diarrhea from a prominent pharmacy chain in Nigeria. She explained that despite taking the medication for 3 days, her symptoms persisted. However, when her husband gave her the same medication purchased abroad, she experienced relief within minutes. The mother of 3 appealed to the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control to take swift action to investigate the matter. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Rivers police arrest 2 notorious cultists and recover arms. Atiku resigns from PDP, cites irreconcilable differences. Akpabio appeals court ruling ordering Natasha's recall. Nigeria hits OPEC 1.5 MB/d oil production quota. South African government on high alert over alleged cow plot. German Wellbrock wins world 10-kilometer swim. American singer David Kaff dies at 79. I am Francis Neka. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network.